Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's Wednesday. I'm glad that anyone joined today. It's incredible.
Like Wednesday, it's like small Friday. So especially during summertime, it's a time where you go and drink wine and enjoy your life. But we have a program, so we'll have to attend it. So it's 6 p.m. I think we will start. We can start, and then we'll, of course, we'll have recording, so people will be able to watch it if they late or can join today. But I think that we shall start now. So hello everyone. I would like to introduce you, Alex. So Alex is experienced entrepreneur, a startup founder. So he is very keen in fields like AI and technologies of Web3. And I think that Alex will also introduce himself, so I won't take his fame. So Alex, please, you can start.
Lovely, thank you. So, sziasztok. Hi, everyone. Всем привет. I'm Alex. I'm a passionate entrepreneur. I've been doing different startups over the last 8 years, mostly in the field of AI. And the current revolution, which all affected us, it was not a big surprise for me. But it is definitely a place where I can share all of my experience with you. So before we start, could you please type anything, maybe your favorite emoji in the chat, that I make sure that my microphone is working and everything is fine? Oh, lovely. Yeah. So thanks, Arseny, Timofey. Yeah, nice. So type anything in the chat so I know. Yeah, great. Thank you. Your support is always lovely. Yeah. So to continue, I think I need the host permission to share the presentation because we will have an interactive section. I will share some of best of my knowledge with you, and we will play a bit. So we will have some interactions with the playground. I will show you some great examples, which I personally use in my practice. So let's get started. Yeah, okay. Here's my deck. Hope you see this. Yeah. In the last 3 months, my productivity has skyrocketed. And people really surprised that I overperform over 100 people. That was shocking. I've been doing different projects, helping my friends with food delivery, working with for AI digital twins, but the result was really unexpected that it gave me so much productivity that you cannot even imagine. If for everyone who is watching now, the 100 people look like a big group of people, right? So this is an example. What is 100 people? And I want just to make your attention here. What is the power of AI today? It's the power of connecting all of the missing intellectual components from almost 100 people and, extracting this straight to your project. This is something what was not possible even a half a year ago, but right now it's accessible, free, and easy to use. And comparing to, building a startup a few years ago, I could run a startup in 1 year, but today I can do it in just 4 days because it's just 100 times faster, right? And it is only your decision what type of startup you want to run. Do you want to do it slow and get exhausted, or you want to make it fast, pivot a few times, and get some revenue and traction? So, and for 90 people out of 100 I talked with, it's usually a problem because, the people just, they don't want to take something from new things. And they say like, it doesn't work for me. I tried it, but failed. It's not really what I need now. It's not suitable for my project, or even I don't need it, right? But for 10 people out of this 100, this presentation should inspire. And I made this presentation specifically for you because I believe that you are here on the incubator program where you can build great stuff, right? And this great stuff you want to make quick, right? And this is the goal of the presentation, to inspire you how to make quick solutions that will actually work, and you will become a founder. And my goal for this presentation is to highlight how to hire 6 people at a fair price of $0 using prompts, understand how it works, and become better than 90% of GPT users. And I have a special surprise for you in the end. So remember all of these 3 promises. If I keep this in the end, you will get something more. So starting with, like, I guess you heard the word prompt, but not everyone really know what is it. So a prompt usually is just a piece of the text which you give to some magic black box which produce some other content. It can have different examples, but think about this as a supervisory mega intelligent that can do anything, right? So you can ask him to create a realistic picture of a ramen, right? You can ask it to create a JSON file. You can work with text, with software code, with many other things, right? So really like a magic. It was not possible to do even like a year or 2 ago. But today you can use it mostly for different copywriting stuff. You can do a lot of things with text, like sending letters, emails, blogs. So you can replace some business tasks like social media marketing or presentation structure. So as an example, I use GPT just to sharpen this presentation and make it better, right? So it helps me, and probably you as well, to make a lot of things more in autonomous way. And it's free to use, and it's just fun, right? As any tool which knows everything, it can be anyone, it can return anything, right? There is one disadvantage: it cannot read your mind. So if you believe that this is a magic solution for everything, it's not true. So GPT can go wrong. It can be a big disappointment, and you get some output and it doesn't work like that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there was a question about mutes. Okay, but I hope all fine. Yeah, by the way, like, this is an interactive section. I can talk for hours about this. We are limited in time, but if you feel I don't get anything during the presentation, feel free. I'm reading the chat and I can stop, I can explain, give more examples, and so on. So like, keep going. And I'm always pleasant to answer your questions. All right. So the main idea why I ask this is just to ask GPT wisely. So if you ask a strange question, you can get strange answer, right? So imagine like if you go to a place where you have no idea about the language people are spoken, so they will not understand you. And same with
I think we have connection loss. Okay, we'll wait for connection loss to disappear. 1 second. I will write to Alexander. Yeah, there is a joke.
There was a glitch, yeah.
Yeah. There is a joke that Zoom conferences are similar to Spiritism, where you try to ask the space if anyone can hear you. So, yep, Alex, so we miss you, I think, on previous slide. Alex, can you hear us? Yeah, your microphone is off right now. And it's,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm not sure when was the time when I dropped the connection.
I think on the
So
previous slide or this one. So yeah, let's start with this one. No, we haven't seen this one. It was a few slides before. Alex. Hey, Alex, we can't hear you for some reason. We can see your presentation, but we can't hear you.
okay.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Yeah. I guess the connection would be rather better now.
Yeah, this slide was last one we've seen.
Okay, so as I see from the chat, we've stopped on the thing where the AI cannot read your mind, right? Okay, nice. So that means I didn't lose any sense during the presentation, right? So the main idea is just to ask it wisely, right? So if you ask stupid questions, it will probably give you bad output, and this is okay. Because as an example, if you speak with your friend in the language he has no idea about, you will have bad conversation. Same with the AI. And let's just start with more concrete examples of what is an AI, right? So you can just ask him to make something like a comedy, right? So you can, pretend that it works like Eddie Murphy. It needs to create a funny joke, and there is some sort of instruction to ask it step by step, brainstorm different ideas for the audience, right? So give some context about prompt engineering workshop for the Budapest community. And the goal is to engage audience and show them the power of prompts. And in return, we need to sort some, output, what we want to get in the result, right? And the output will be what you type actually in your prompt. For instance, here you get the joke. So if you're on a prompt workshop engineering in Budapest, the half of the room figuring out how to craft the perfect prompt, and the other part is trying to remember the Wi-Fi password. Or if you are the speaker, so you probably find what's wrong with your Wi-Fi password, right? So this is basically the main concept of creating a prompt. And I gave this as a great example just because this is not a typical prompt. This is a prompt for you to think how to make it better, right, on the start. Of course, you can ask it like how to cook something or do, but you need to sort of different atoms of the perfect prompt. So for me, the perfect six is just then you first tell about who is the person, how it needs to interact, like what task he needs to do, and what step-by-step solution you need to get, right? Then, as in any task, you need to give some context, right? So do you need to be in a workshop place or in any other situation, right? So, and to do it meaningfully, right? So to have a particular goal, and this goal should have some metric or an output as a result. So there are some links where you can just use it, like after the you get this presentation, so you can play more with these examples. And again, this is do it yourself completely. So you can, adjust this framework to what works best for you. So you can create like a marketing manager, or you can do a more simple version where you just act as, Donald Trump, and then you can talk with a person who speaks like Donald Trump, right? So the sky is the limit here. So the perfect prompt does not exist, but there are some frameworks how to, always have a good prompt. And moreover, you can, combine prompts together, and you can use the same prompt, just slightly adjust it and ask to create a similar prompt based on the previous ones. And I use a lot of different prompts. And I use AI to create such prompts. And this is a also great tool that you don't need to invent the wheel. Let the AI work for you. This is the approach which we didn't use in past, right? So you never ask for a small task, to make another small task, right? But with AI, you can do that. Let me just show an example here, because I think it's really interesting, and let's make it more interactive. Okay. So as a result, you will have some links which we can work together on. I hope you see my Chrome screen, right? Do you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, amazing. So yeah, I can just continue the conversation. So you can do it also with your laptops, or we can just, I can also share the link to the Meet, right? So yeah, if you want to play it immediately, right? So if you, this is an example of what we did during the decomposition, right? So we were asked to decompose the prompt of act, do tasks, tabs, context, goal, and output format, right? And it gives you, the perfect condition decomposition of the existing prompt. And if you want to play with creating the perfect prompt, there is another link which I'm sharing with you as well. Let me just show you, because I believe it's also very intriguing. So for instance, it can even create you a startup idea, right? It can create, a random prompt with the same framework I gave you right now. And there is an example of output, what you can get, right? And here one example, like healthy eating startup, right? With act as a nutrition and health enthusiast, recommend daily meal plan, adjust like, research in modern diets. There is some context, and the goal is to help a user to achieve a well-balanced diet, right? And here's a prompt. So we can even just copy paste such prompt, and we have a perfect nutritionist and health enthusiast. What is good, instead of just asking, hey, act as a nutritionist and get some, general information, we can just put extra topics here in the prompt, and you can just, create a new chat. So, and just copy paste that, and voila, we've got a nutritionist and health enthusiast, right? It can generate some information, and you can just use it for your personal everyday lifestyle, or you can create a health startup where you can use some data about that, right? So for instance, it's writing the perfect breakfast which will be rich with omega-3, and write step-by-step instruction. And this is all because we asked him to return lunch, dinner, 2 snacks, ingredients, and prep instructions, right? So, and it is much better than you just write, hey, act as a nutritionist, right? So because we give all of the missed details of GPT. All right. So let's switch back to our presentation. I will just show now more about how I use it daily, right? Because it's always interesting that you just don't get the theory, but more like the knowledge from a person who's using this day by day. I use Notion page where I write information about a service I want to build, and I have a list of prompts for different use cases, right? And I also have an office of different people. So like not real people, but more like AI people. So if I miss any knowledge about marketing, I have a special prompt for my chief of marketing, right? I have missed information about front end, and I have the prompt for the front end engineer. Sometimes I don't know what is the best solution for my business, and I have a business developer, right? And finally, like sometimes I have a question, what is the most secure architecture? And then I can ask my CTO about that, right? And this is something amazing because you don't need to hire people, you just need to hire AI. And this is a game changer. And each of my prompts is really big, like 3,000 characters or more. So don't believe like that if you buy or you ask people with small prompts, they will make sense. No, you can do really big prompts and they will work better, much better. So before I jump to the next session, let me just show you the real use case, right? So there is a service of my friends, right? I gave a short summary about the service. So it's like a finance tool where you can calculate your budgeting, right? And there are a list of prompts for different use cases, right? So the marketing officer, the definition of dream outcome, list of solutions, and so on. So you can, even create a prompt for a particular task, or you can use it like a day-to-day routine. And what is really awesome here, so first I can just, not copy paste, but already, have the synced block of my same text. The next thing, I use the same script as I gave you last time. And moreover, what is really awesome, I can write in different languages and it will understand what I'm writing about. I use GPT-4 and GPT-4 works great with that. So if you struggle with English, you may use also combination of different languages because it also works great, right? So you can write this in Russian, in Hungarian, or in any other languages. So the best works for you. My friend, I help him with some of the prompts and he knows Russian more. So I just created a tool where I ask him, hey, you need just to insert several inputs into this part, right? But you can also delete this later, right? And you can just write it in Russian, in English, in Hungarian, in any other languages, right? So this is also, I think, a useful hack for all of you. All right. So right, was this example clear? Or do one more? Or shall we go to the next part?
Guys, girls, should we proceed or you have some questions?
We see the reactions, people react positively, but maybe someone would like to ask a question, then should raise a hand. But as far as I see, we can move on.
Let's go.
Okay, nice. Okay. So we will have more examples later. So if you want to return back to any of the part of presentation, feel free to do that. So how does it work, right? So this will be the second part of the presentation. And this part is more theoretical, where I will explain you, from the machine learning engineer perspective, what is inside the black box. This is some hidden value. Not everyone will tell about this on a regular prompting lecture. So this is extremely valuable piece, right? So I think you will do that. Let's go. So the main idea of GPT, why it is a game changer, because it can understand a particular word and map this word with the context we used before. It can map a pronounce it with the word street because it was trained on a lot of data and it has what we call as human beings a sense of the word, right? Or a common sense, which is also like a good example, right? So why I'm telling you about this, because when I start prompting in 6 of 10 times, I made the same mistake. I tried to use prompts more like a Google request. And when I Google, I'd use a lot of keywords, right? And my prompts were failing. And sometimes the logic of the app was not as I expected. The reason is simple. The GPT cannot match different parts of your prompt, right? So if you write something and you miss the word, and you just try to say, you know, as a pronounce later, it will not understand. So it's the reason why it's very important to define, if you have a script in your app, write as a first sentence, this prompt is using script, and then use the script in the end of the prompt, right? Do not try that if you just do a title script, it will understand what is a script. Give a pure definition of each part. This is very important. Another thing, what I want to tell you about tokens. So when you usually, you know, see literature about GPT, instead of words, people say tokens. What is it? Token is similar to the word. It's just something what can, you know, distinguish different words. So it can be a word bigger than a word, or even one character. So it's a sequence of characters that GPT can understand what is it, right? And it's much better to show you that GPT is not mapping words with some entities, but more like one token with another token. And it works inside the GPT that you give them a prompt, it's, you know, do some math, transform it to different parameters through the embedding process, through a transformer process, and then it gives some distribution of probabilities, right? Do I need to put the next word like then, they, them, or anything else, right? The example is very simple. The question is how to deal with, right? So on each step, we predict the next character, and we also use the context, right? And we know the context, and we use first the sense of each word, then we calculate the probabilities, and this is how prompting works, right? So it takes the prompt, then it tries to reproduce the next character. That is how it works. And you can use it like to think outside of the box. Since you know that prompt is some new information for this black box, you can use your external knowledge to impact on the result of GPT, right? So thinking outside of the box is what you can use to make a really powerful startup. Because everyone is using GPT now, right? And if you do not give GPT new data, the prompt can be useless. Of course, prompt can show the logic, how do you do each step by step, but you can also put some data there. Instead of just giving some random data, you can, for instance, give them a table of your user data or any other information, and it will use this as well. And here why like GPT will be like think outside the box. And here I want just to add what is a context, right? Context is firstly the history of your communication with GPT. It includes prompts, history, the chat, right? But it can also use a token history of, what's the sequence of tokens and some other features which are under the cover of this black box, right? And the context can be really big because the prompt can be big, right? It's 12 pages of text for GPT 3.5. And the last thing I want to mention here are hallucinations. Imagine a very smart person and you ask him something it doesn't know. So it can just try to, guess what is it about, but in reality, you never expected such outputs. So there are some stories where people started using GPT for legal use cases or for medicine, and GPT gave them wrong data. This is because how GPT works. It predicts the next character, and sometimes the prediction can be not accurate. And some people can get suited for that, or even you can go to the jail if your model failed. So you need to be careful with the output of GPT, right? So you always need to think, what is the next, is the information it gave really true? As an example, we can just play and create a one-line poem written by Harry Potter about your favorite movie, right? So let me just here share the screen again. So, okay, so Harry Potter, yeah. I've already made one, but I can also copy a link with you. Instead, you want to make something similar. And the prompt I will also share. Okay. So, for instance, it can create a Harry Potter poem about Star Wars film. So not something what you expect from Harry Potter, right? But it can create such poem. Do you believe in this poem? Well, for me, it's something really funny. But if you do the same thing for GPT-4 model, it hallucinates a bit less. So unfortunately, it can write that Harry Potter is a character from a Rowling book, and it doesn't have any sense to make it with Star Wars movie. However, it still creates such one, right? In the previous model, it hallucinates and doesn't give you any other outputs. So you need to be quite careful with that. Does anyone open the link? Do you have any favorite movie? Write the favorite movie in the chat, so like we can do any more example. So, Tim, for instance, what is your favorite movie?
Actually, I am a big movie fan, so it's very hard to say. But one of my favorite movies is Guy Madlin's Twilight of the Winter of Iced Nymphs. It's very hard to write. Actually, we can write. There is a nice movie called Black Cat, White Cat by Emir Kusturica. Let's see if he can. Yeah, we have Stepan have written Lord of the.
Okay, we can do that. So let's just create one more chat and let's see the power of hallucination. So instead of Star Wars, a Lord of the Rings film, right? Film. Okay. So let's see what in the Middle Earth embrace a tale unfolds of ring and quest where legends are told through Shadowfell lands and mountain high, a fellowship to die. Okay. So yeah, and then we start writing about Harry Potter. So it's a quite weird mix, actually. I think people who made different, remixes of films, they will love this tool. So, you know, when you have Aliens versus Predators or any other films. Yeah, but actually it's a powerful tool, right, Stefan? Yeah. Does anyone wants to create anything similar? So just type your favorite movie and we'll see what will be the Harry Potter version of a poem. Okay, Forest Hump. Okay, nice. I like your ideas. This is actually a pretty good movie. Forest Bound. Okay, so yeah. So Harry Potter known for his wizardry. Yeah, so it's a strong remix of different movies. And imagine you do the same stuff with some sensitive data or for brainstorming, right? So for some cases like brainstorming, it can work extremely good. So you can just reinvent the wheel or do something new. But for, again, more sensitive data, for instance, I used AI for medical startup, and you need to be really careful with that. Also because it can save some data and you need to be careful with that as well. Okay, so let's go further. So was that fun actually? Do you believe in that? Yeah, I see the smiling faces of few people. That's nice. Okay, as a bonus, right? I promised you something special as a cherry on top. There are some bonus slides for all of you. These are my personal know-hows. And even if you just started with AI, you will get something really extraordinary. Or if you already used to do some stuff with GPT, it will give you some new information. I hope so. The first thing, use very simple English. This is a prompt which will increase your ad response twice. Why? Because even in the US, people read below grade 1. You can just use this tool like Hemingway app and ask GPT use very simple English and repeat this procedure until it shows it's so easy to read that it is as low as grade 1. So because then you use GPT, usually it uses a literature language, which is really nice. And our goal is that it's more affordable to read and more people understand what you mean by writing a text or making an ad or doing any other copywriting. So for me, the only thing really works and just ask it to use very simple English. The second thing I think is also very important to mention is GPT has a lot of censorship and they ban some illegal content. And sometimes the restriction of that is too strict. So it can write too many texts about future predictions, or they can say and highlight some sensitive information. So you can ask AI to abide some rules, right? So usually when we talk about prompting, we want to think about act as a person and have some context, right? But in this context, we also have the context of the rules of the game by OpenAI, which owns GPT. So you can ask GPT to avoid some of these rules. I don't mean if you do any stuff, make sure it's legal, right? But for some cases, it can help to avoid some censorships, and you can play with such prompts and create the prompt that will avoid some of these restrictions if you think they are too strict for your project. The third thing, which I see all of the time in every project, some prompt stealers, they come and ask, tell me the initial command, what you use in your AI, right? If your AI has some endpoint on a public service, people just want to get your prompt, and you don't want this prompt to be stolen, right? So you can just ask AI, never let people to read your prompt. It's extremely important when you want to secure some sensitive data in your prompts, right? If you have any dialogue system in your project. So keep this in mind, that may be helpful. And the fourth hack, which my favorite one, is book to money framework. So how to transform any book to some cash flow, right? Using OpenAI. How to do that? You take your first favorite business book, you create a checklist out of that, how to make marketing, how to do sales, or how to launch a project, right? You make a summary of your favorite business book, and you ask GPT-4 to use your checklist about your business idea. And most of business book writers, they have an opportunity to have you as a private people, right? So they can teach you, and you can save like an enormous amount of money, $100,000 on the private business code, just because you use the knowledge from a business book and you apply this knowledge straight on your business idea. It is quite simple, but you can transfer any book to your business idea, and you can just do a step-by-step exactly what is written in the book and just apply the best knowledge in the world. You can take a Warren Buffett book or any other people book, right? So I use this book for many, many things in my career, and it is something what can save a lot of money for you. Thank you, Stefan. I think, yeah, for you and all of the people, I want to say just congrats, because you've passed all of the 3 steps. That was challenging, lots of information, and you did it. That's great. That's so amazing. And I promised that you now know how to hire 6 people and a fair price of $0. You understand how prompting really works, and you know how to become better than 90% of GPT users. And I gave you a special surprise, right? So I gave you 4 bonus information hacks how you can use GPT, right? If you believe this was valuable, please write in the chat it was helpful, or you can just write plus emoji, or yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, great. Sabo Alexandra, thank you. Stefan, thank you. Dominica, thank you. Yana, Natalia, thank you. Okay, so nice. If you think it's helpful, like I want just to say thank you as well, that you are amazing audience, right? And if you believe I gave you enough value, just follow me on Twitter. That will be the best way to support me. So my Twitter is Vargas Startup, or you can just scan the codes if you use your laptop and you have a phone nearby, right? That will be more than great for me. You can also ask me any questions on Twitter, right? Or if you have any project idea, I think still have a bit of time. Let me check. Yeah, we still have, I think, around 15 minutes. So I have some time that we can just think how we can use all of that we learned today for your projects, right? So we can select one project if you want. By the end, does any one of you already got an idea for your project? Okay.
Guys, girls, don't be shy. If anyone want to share an idea. Anyway, we'll be doing this on Friday.
Otherwise, we will use AI to generate you some startup ideas.
Yeah, okay, let's use AI.
All right.
Actually, your today's homework would be to generate ideas, and I will send homework presentation right after the lecture, but we'll try with an eye right now.
Okay.
So, Alex, there is a question. Does the BART can do the same? Your opinion?
Does the BART can do the same? Yeah, absolutely. So they are more or less similar. I mean, technologically, they have different engines, right? And Google is trying to add more features now than even OpenAI. I think the main difference when we talk about BART and GPT is mostly in plugins. And so like, I will show you, like there are some tools like plugins and some small minor features, but more or less you can use any AI and the same technique would work even for image generation or for BART or any other tools. So more or less like you can do that with any stuff. Of course, in this lecture, I gave you more tips and tricks about GPT, because for me personally, there are a lot of perks which you can get from that, but you can use BART or you can use the same stuff in Midjourney, for instance, or anywhere else. So just with maybe minor updates. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, welcome. Right. So let me just show you how like I would start making prompts if I had no idea. First, I would use a prompt which I saw that it works, right? So the first prompt we had with the joke, and I will just first replace act as not a perfect act as no startup idea creator, right? Create a $1 billion startup idea in tech, right? Think step by step, brainstorm what can we do if I'm an excellent product manager. I do not know how to code. Okay. Okay. My goal is to, let's say, help and support people in Africa. Return as the result one challenging $1 billion idea, right? So the prompt is quite simple, but we use all of the 6 golden things in that. So we ask it act as a person, right? What it needs to create, how, then some context, right? The goal and the result. And then, okay, the startup idea, AfriLink, digital skill share and marketplace, a platform for Africa. There's an object to learn, share, and monetize skills of people there. Okay, then step-by-step breakdown, research assessment. Okay. And then it has all of the step-by-step breakdown, how to make this project works, right? So I think for me, this idea is quite interesting. So because it asks to create a platform, but what is really good, we can ask what can be the minimal valuable version of the product, right? So we can just ask any supportive question or ask more details about the created one, right? So you can just play with the prompt and then it will create your startup vision idea. For instance, I know what I have a startup, right? So so we have this, right? But I need to have a marketing manager, right? So let's create one. So so we have the overview of my startup, right? And I will just copy paste a bit here, some code, not like code, but more like text about my startup. All right, so I want to create a marketing chief marketing officer, right? So I ask it to act as another AI model, be like an AI model, follow the script, wait for the user answer, play a role of chief marketing officer who believes like a chief marketing officer and a supportive friend. I really like that it, talks with me like a friend. So have a conversational tone, occasionally lighten humor, think step by step. Ask only one question at a time. Another ask more than one question, and add emojis to text to be more emotional. So what I did here, actually, I asked it to be more friend, more like act like a friend, right? Because I understood that if it acts as a friend and it's interact with me more emotional, I like this AI more. It's like, when you select a colleague, you have some criteria. Do you want that this colleague be straightforward? We've shared these prompts as well. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can just type it here, but I guess you will get it also on the deck. Feel free to use that. So in most cases, there is a trick just that if you want to chat with your AI colleague, just be comfortable and write, how do you want to talk, right? So I like having a supportive friend. Some people like that they have a direct person. Some people like that they write long tags in a good shape of the language. This is also great. Yeah, so there is information about my startup. There is no information about my script, right? So I want to ask him to create me a paid advertisement strategy for my project. I want to run Facebook ads. My project MVP will be a mobile app. All right, this is a small prompt, but you can do it much bigger, right? And then it acts like your marketing officer. For my startup, which I've just created, AfriLink. So, and then it starts asking me questions, which is also great because usually if you are not an expert in the field, you need to have more context. And it's great because AI can also sharp your context. And we achieved that by telling him, ask me questions, right? So my audience is from Africa, mostly students from Central Park. They are professionals. Some of them entrepreneurs. So it's good because instead of brainstorming what is the ideal prompt, it just asks you questions, right? And then it creates really good advertisement banners, right? Unlock Limus Learning, dive into AfriLink and discover World of Skills, right? What is good? Yes, it's great. can you also translate it to native languages? And then it can work as a normal GPT as well. So you can ask it anything, right? So you can ask Sandra. So Sango is great. So let's translate it to Sango. The language I definitely never spoken to, right? But for English speakers, there is this version. For Sango language, there is another version. So yeah, and you can use that for many other applications. So does anyone speak Sango? Okay, yeah. I hope this example is useful. No, yeah. So I hope this example is useful, but it just unlocks you a principal new level that you can just type this as Simio for every link, right? So, and then you can create more and more employees for your project. I use this as a regular tool. I talk with my AIs if I work with projects, right? And so I return back to this because they save some context. So I spoke with the project. I don't need to explain more and more time about the startup idea. So because it's something what makes total sense for me. All right, so I think the time is finishing now, and I give you the chance to ask me anything. Otherwise, I want to say one more time, thank you for being amazing audience. I hope it will help you to build your projects and become entrepreneurs. And trust me, this is extremely valuable knowledge which you get here, but it took me years to sharp such ideas in this format, right? So I believe you have a really valuable asset which you received today, and you will get the presentation. You already got some snippets which you can use, right? So just try and practice, use more prompts for creating more prompts, and create an arm of your AIs. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Any questions?
Actually, I have one question, if I may. Previously, you've mentioned that GPT-3 version is inferior to GPT-4, but we all know that GPT-4 is a paid service. So is it true that one can use Bing Chat and Bing Search Box, which implements the GPT-4 technology to achieve the same result, the same quality of results?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in most cases, there are some tools which you can use as a replacement of paid tools like GPT-4. So in Bing, in Perplexity, in some other tools, you may use that. However, they are designed for other solutions, and they may not be optimized for your service. So in general, yes, but in most cases, the power of prompting is open, then you use also the API. And you cannot use API of Bing, not paying them. So it's good when you want to test that. However, if you are familiar with English, you can use ChatGPT 3.5. It works great with this version in English. But if you want to unlock the power of speaking other languages besides English, it's recommended for me to use the latest version, of course.
Thanks.
Because it shows like the best perform in even languages which have almost no trained data in the data set. So if you say GPT 3.5 is working fine with English, but it works not so good with Hungarian, with Chinese or with many other languages, right? GPT-4, they unlock like 80 languages. So you can write in Latvian language, you can write it in almost everything. Yeah, there is another question about recommendation of different AI plugins. Personally, I tried some plugins, but I'm not satisfied with the quality of that. However, there are some plugins which are good. So there is a plugin called Ask Your PDF. Sometimes you can just upload a PDF file to the GPT and it can return back you some information. So there are some similar plugins like Speak with Your Data and others. I think the file uploading is really what is missing in OpenAI now. But more for complex tools, I will give you one more really powerful tool. If you want to replace your software engineers, for instance, I will just write you down just a sec. I need to find the feature called Cursor. This is a paid tool, but it's really powerful for software engineers. It has the GPT-4 integrated. You can get this for free with 50 requests per day without subscription. And it's a game changer in how people write code. So it's much better than most of tools like Copilot and similar. So it's extremely strong tool. But there are more and more tools coming up, like not like just plugins, but more external tools as well.
Any more questions? Okay, in that case, Alex, thanks a lot. And I will stop recording.